then the answer would be yes.
Yeah.
I would say that the people, the people that came in from the tribulation, their kids won't be. I mean, we'll have a glorified body, right?
So you have to be a little more specific. I am not counting as people in the kingdom, the saints in glorified bodies.
Okay,
Yeah, I want to be clear, I wasn't either.
yeah.
So I'm talking about the fleshly people, because what is the kingdom?
But they'll have to be saved, right, to come into the kingdom.
What is the kingdom?
The people who made it through the tribulation.
That's who's there, but what is the kingdom?
The
It's when the
restoration of
scales
the
reset.
earth, of the curses removed.
You're close. It is the restoration of,
New heaven, new earth.
no,
No.
Garden of Eden.
yes, the kingdom is the restoration of Eden. We are back to, was Adam and Eve in eternal bodies?
No.
Was Adam and Eve in eternal bodies?
Well, they wouldn't age, but, right? They wouldn't.
How do we know that?
Well, I thought there was no death.
Well, why'd they have to eat from the tree?
Yeah, they had to eat from the tree of life, right?
If they had eternal bodies, why would they need the tree?
They
of life?
wouldn't need a tree of life. See, I think that we overdo when it talks about death. What is the death that came into the Garden of Eden?
Well, spiritual death.
Spiritual death.
Yeah,
Does
but
that mean there was no physical death prior to that? Well, there were only two humans, so it couldn't have been human physical death yet. But did no animals die?
I would say no.
No, I would say yes.
How? What's the only way they could live forever?
They ate from the tree of life.
I'm kicking them out of the garden because
I don't want them to eat from the tree of life.
if they eat from the tree of life, they will.
Live forever.
Be broken forever.
So therefore, if they did not eat from the tree,
Die.
they would
Die.
not live forever. The requirement for them to live forever was somehow that fruit, the fruit of the tree of life, rejuvenated their physical bodies. How many animals had access to the tree of life in the garden?
All of them.
Really?
None of them.
How many whales?
Well, okay.
How many
Just
octopus?
say animals.
How many
Aren't-
shrimp?
Aren't the ones in the, I know they have the whales of.
How about the ones in China? Or the ones in North America? Or the ones in South America? If we presume that the Garden of Eden was someplace in the Middle East or North Africa. How many animals had access to the tree of life? The ones living
The garden.
in the garden.
I would just see that death is, I mean, even like our animals today, like you have a pet or something, your pet eventually dies. And to me, that's part of the curse that's on the earth. You know what I mean? You lose your pet.
And I know there's a lot of people that think that way, but I'm not sure that the Bible mandates that.
I'm not saying it does, man, but I don't, I don't see the,
First of all, how do we know there was death before the Garden of Eden?
The
we
dinosaurs.
Or in the Garden of Eden?
Dinosaurs?
No.
Oh.
What did they eat?
they all eat vegetables.
So what happened to the vegetables?
Plants.
They died?
They killed the vegetables, right?
Yeah, but that's a,
Oh, well, but if there's no death
A
at
plant-
all,
Plant is a life form.
a plant is a life form.
yeah, but I don't see the plant dying. It's eaten and it just regrows, right?
Not if I have a carrot. I ate carrots today.
Didn't they clothe themselves with animal skins? That means the
No,
animals
that's
were
not
dead.
until after.
That was
That was
After-
after sin.
Yeah. That would be the first death of animals, an innocent animal, right?
But in that garden, they had to eat that thing. They had to eat. Now, did they age the way we do? Undoubtedly not.
But plants don't feel pain like an,
They claim that you can
You
trace that.
can't prove that either way.
Right. They claim
I'll
that,
tell
that
what,
you
I
can,
put
you
every
can,
bit of money I have.
that you can hook up and there's impulses that pass through vegetables when they're cut apart that could be some kind of reaction to being that. Which would make sense, because what did God put in every single living thing?
Spirit.
No.
Every single living thing has something in common.
Seed.
A will.
Plants don't have that.
The will to live. Single cell organisms. Amoebas. Do they have a will to live?
I think so.
Yeah, they do. If something that kills them comes at them, what do?
Attack it.
They run away.
Or
They scurry away. Yeah.
Yeah. That's because why would God do that? Because in order for us to live, we have to have that desire to protect. And the smallest animals, I don't care what animal you look at, has that desire.
I didn't
Go out
know
in the
a plant
forest.
had that desire. I didn't know that, though. A plant has that desire.
have you seen a
too.
Venus? What's the thing that eats
Flytrap.
the Venus flytrap? Yeah.
Now, they are very, very limited in that, because a plant doesn't have anything like, animals have what? Every animal has what?
A brain.
A
Soul.
Body,
body and
soul.
a soul,
But not a spirit.
but not a spirit. What does the soul give them the power to do?
No right from wrong.
Sustain
Um,
life.
To function.
It's a C word. What is the soul?
Conscious.
The power to choose. They became a living soul. God gave them at that point the power to choose. That's why all through the Bible it says, choose
Life.
life. I've set before you life and death. Choose life. I've set before you this day good and evil. Choose good. Choose today who you will serve. Can animals choose?
Yes.
Yep.
To a degree.
Yeah, I would think so.
I was just sitting there eating chicken before I came here, and my daughter's dog, the older one, was sitting down there, smelled the chicken, and tried to jump up into my lap. I said, "Get down," and she looked at me. She knew what I wanted, and you know what she did? She just laid there and wasn't gonna get down till I pushed her down. Down. And then she sat there like this. She chose. So animals can choose. They don't have a spirit. What's the spirit do? And this is
God
because-
conscious.
Yeah. I'm going to take it a little further than God conscious.
Eternity conscious.
We are conscious of eternal things. An animal lives for
We know we're gonna die.
The here and
Animals
now.
don't.
the here and now. Not just that we're going to die. We know there is something
After.
beyond death. That's why every human being, no matter how far you go back in the record, does what?
Buried.
Bury their dead.
They bury their dead. Because we know, as a species, as a people, there's something out
I
there.
think it's Ecclesiastes 3:20 or something like that that says about that.
3:11, yeah.
3:11, yeah, we have it.
God has put eternity in the hearts of men.
Yeah. Whereas an animal doesn't have
Does
that.
not have that. So, we've kind of gone off from that, but are the people in the kingdom perfect? Look at Revelation 20. Verses 7 and to 9.
No, they wouldn't be, because if anything happens, they're immediately punished, right? There's no.
Yeah. But what's it say? Revelation 20:7-9. Some of the saddest verses in the whole Bible.
Now, when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison. Is that the right place?
Yep.
Yeah,
And will go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. They went up on the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints in the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them.
So, were they perfect?
no,
No.
No. What were they?
they chose wrong.
Then they became, but what were they prior to that?
Innocent.
I'm going to say they were sinless, but there's a difference between sinless and perfect. What's the difference?
Perfect is complete.
Sinless is I am, as of this moment, not sinful. But I have the potential at any moment.
Can we say they don't have the inclination?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like the scales reset. It's harder to not, I mean, it's harder to sin than.
Than not to sin. But what's the difference between that and perfect?
Perfect, you can't.
Perfect, you can't. Your decision has been made. That choice is now settled for you. Why? And this is really important because the way Christianity is sold today in the church, it's sold as become a Christian and God will make your life super, super easy.
Nope.
Come to God and your family will be put back together. Come to God and your body will be healed. Come to God and your money problems will disappear. Send me $1,000 and you will
Get
have
10 back.
planted the seed of faith and God is obligated to give you 10 times what you give him.
And we'll send you a chair
for that.
Yeah.
But that's how Christianity's sold today, is it not?
Well,
Yeah.
depends where you're listening.
I'm
Their
painting with a
pockets of
broad
it,
brush, I know that, but that is the very popular brand of Christianity, and it's popular for a reason. The flesh loves that.
Weren't you preaching it on Sunday?
Oh,
about,
yeah.
I have to see you with $1,000 or something like that?
Yeah. When I heard that from that guy.
Yeah, I watched your message. It was really good. You can't handle the truth. I remember you said that from, All Good.
A few good men,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I was like,
So they're not perfect. And that's the way people were in the Garden of Eden. Why does God make it so hard on Christians?
So that they,
Test them.
to see if they make.
Hard
the
in
right
what way?
choice.
How many Christians suffer? In fact, what does Paul say about the Christian life?
Suffering.
suffer.
Trials and
What did
tribulations.
Jesus promise?
Salvation.
Tribulation.
In
John
this
16:33.
life,
You will have tribulation.
troubles.
You will have troubles.
you will have troubles.
But
But take heart, I've overcome.
I have overcome the world.
Look at 1 Corinthians 15:19. What's 1 Corinthians 15:19?
If in this life only we have hope in Christ, we are of all men most miserable.
So what does Paul say in an objective thing, if you only consider this life, is Christianity a positive or a negative?
Negative.
Negative.
A negative. Why would he say that?
Everybody's gonna hate you.
Yeah, because he was being persecuted and he felt the full weight of that. what makes Christianity worth it is,
The retirement
Finish
program.
line.
yeah,
Finish line.
Yeah.
in this life, you will have trouble. But, so, why does God make that the case? Why isn't it, if in this life only we had hope in Christ, we'd still be the most blessed of all people?
Tests and trials for your faith,
Why?
because it shows your heart to God, gives your heart to God.
Grows your faith.
You're getting into the right.
Paul,
Just
Paul had the
that-
thorn in his flesh, and he did it so that he wouldn't, I'm assuming, get prideful.
That's true.
But isn't this also not God's thing? Like, this was our fault. We ate the fruit. We made our lives.
Absolutely. But could God make it easier?
miserable.
Why doesn't
God can
he?
do anything.
Well, he can't do anything, but he
Proves
can
out
do
your
many
faith.
things.
Proves out your faith.
In what way?
It shows that you don't just hear the word, but you're
Genuine.
doers of the word, you're following him.
You're in the ballpark, but you're not in the right seat.
Can you repeat the question? So,
Why does God make it so hard to live as a Christian in this world?
Test us.
That's the
And
genuine
for
of your
what?
faith.
For what purpose?
To refine us, to see if we're,
Why?
to see if we have our stick to it in this to following Christ. Finish the race.
You're almost there, but you're not quite there. You have to look at it from the standpoint of this life versus eternity. What happens when a true believer enters eternity?
And more
That they're
problems.
committed
Rewards.
to God
Separated from
regardless of
sin.
the situation.
Paul, you're getting really, really close. There it is. How many believers will rebel against God like Satan in the future?
all of them.
How many believers in eternity future
Oh,
will rebel against God?
none of them will be perfect.
Why?
Because we already made our decision now.
Satan, there you go. Satan was perfect from the moment he was created. He was perfect in heaven. He rebelled. A third of the angels, according to Revelation 12, went with him. Why won't there be another one of those in eternity future? Why won't the pattern just repeat itself over and over and over again?
No more presence of
They
sin.
made their choice.
There wasn't any presence of sin in heaven before Satan made his choice.
Are I know Satan's supposed to be insane, but were all the demons insane too, to believe him?
That they
Well,
could take on God.
a third of the
Yeah.
angels sided with him and thought it was a good idea. One out of every three,
Why?
Because he was convincing, that's why.
because we want to do what we want to do.
Even though
That's
they
what
do.
sin does to you. I know better than God. What was Satan's claim of sin? But it boils down to one statement. He made 5, but it all boils down to one
Pride.
statement.
He wanted to be
Right.
God.
I will be
Like God.
God.
Sitting in the north.
What did he then say to Eve?
You will be like God.
You will be God.
Wow.
You don't need God to tell you what's right and what's wrong. That always confused me as a young believer. When Eve says, when Satan says, you will be like God, knowing good and evil.
And you would wonder, why is that a bad thing?
Why? And I always thought, so what? Doesn't God want us to know what's good and what's bad? What's good and what's evil? God doesn't want us to know those things? But that isn't the gist of what Satan is saying. When he says you will know good and evil, what is he saying to Eve?
You'll know for
But she
yourself.
doesn't-
what's
she doesn't
good
know
and
now.
Exposed. to
You
the
will
evil.
know of your choice what is good and evil.
You're autonomous.
You will decide this is good. this is evil. You don't need God to tell you what's good and evil. You will know in and of yourself, this is what I say is good, this is what I say is evil, and my will is what matters. It's a direct refuting of God saying, this is good, this is evil. And what's the first thing Eve says? She looked at the fruit and said,
This is good.
it is good to eat. What had God said?
Yeah.
It's evil to eat.
Yeah.
But Eve says, I now know good and evil. I say it's good to eat.
She hasn't even eaten it yet.
So the statement would be, you'll be making the decisions, not God.
Not God, exactly. And that's the first thing she does.
But the way they word it, it's confusing.
Why? Why is it confusing? And that comes back to the whole thing I was saying. Is it true that you will be like God, knowing in and of yourself what's good and evil? Will that happen if Eve eats of that fruit? Yes or no?
It's the deception, what you're saying.
Is that a true statement? If you eat of that fruit, you will know good and evil
Yes.
in and of yourself, not dependent on God.
Yes.
You may be wrong, but you'll make that up for yourself, won't you?
Yeah.
So was that a lie or a truth?
Truth.
True.
It was a truth, but the way she heard it, so again, the whole thing was meant to be confusing.
Really? Okay.
That's how Satan works.
He wants her to eat that fruit, so
He confuses you. He doesn't always lie to you.
Well, they did say that Eve was deceived,
Yep.
where Adam knew right.
And
well.
Adam chose.
Yeah. That's why it's the sin.
What
of
was
Adam.
what was Adam's sin?
the woman did it.
That he didn't protect his wife, that he didn't.
Eve's
Didn't
was,
lead
I
her.
was deceived and ate the fruit. Adam's was, what was Adam's great sin?
Disobedience.
That he ate the fruit.
He followed her.
No.
You're in the right ballpark again. What did he do in that act? She gave him the fruit and
Disobedience?
he ate it.
He did it.
He would be his God. I mean,
He chose
He knew better.
Eve
Over God.
over God.
And then
He had a
changed-
choice in that moment. Eve has sinned. He can remain faithful to God, or he can remain faithful to Eve.
all right, this is conjecture, but what would have happened if he would have
Not eating the
not
fruit.
and
I
said,
have no idea.
but would Eve have been guilty when she was deceived? Because they say it's Adam's sin.
Yep. I have no idea how that plays out.
I could get.
But that's his sin.
Yeah,
He chose, you can have Eve, or you can have God.
yeah,
And who's he choose?
Eve,
Eve.
And then he blamed
So
Would you
which
say-
commandment does he break right there?
number one.
You shall
I'll just
Have
say,
no other God.
have
no other
God.
gods before me.
would you say it's also idolatry because he
Oh, but
was?
that's what we were just
Yeah.
saying. He broke the first commandment. You will have no other gods before me. And he said, no, Eve is more important to me than God is. So you come back on that. And that shows you this deception. There is very little that Satan says. It's not totally without it, but there's very little that Satan says that's a lie to Eve. He just takes the truth and he presents it in such a way that the conclusion she draws is sinful, is wrong, is a deception.
Isn't all of sin basically, the devil is just twisting
Yeah.
what it actually.
Well, the best lie has some truth to it.
Yep. And the more truth, the better. So and that comes back that's the difference. So let me just, because we've gone off on a lot of things. Why will there not be a repeat of Satan rebelling against God in the new heaven and the new earth.
Number one, he's not gonna be there.
Solidifying
Oh,
our
but
choice.
why won't another angel or a saint, or some being in heaven, okay, I'm the next Satan.
I would almost think you'd have to be nuts to do
Well,
that.
Because the
They've
angels
already made
had,
their decision.
the angels already made the
Yes.
decision.
When Satan fell, what happened?
Third of the angels went
A
with.
third of the angels said, I'm going with him. What about the other 2/3?
We're with God.
They
Made
made their choice.
Right choice. They had the choice there. And
That
They
was
could have
their
joined
choice.
that 1/3,
yeah.
but because they didn't, they've made their choice. Now, why will no saint rebel against God throughout eternity future?
Because we made the choice.
We made our choice.
Made our
now.
choice here.
Because we've made our choice every day. Every day you get up and go, I'm going to be faithful today. We make our choice. How easy is it to turn around and walk away from Christ?
Easy.
Not
God
that
doesn't
easy.
make it hard. God doesn't make it hard to walk away. He
Hard
makes
to
it hard to
break.
get.
How many
through.
people do you know that at one point appeared to be a very committed Christian and aren't today? If I had a nickel for every person I've seen turn around and walk away from Christ, I'd have a lot of nickels.
Yeah.
It's easy to walk away because God doesn't force you.
But if you're truly saved, you're always convicted about it, though.
Yep. But I've seen people walk away from that. And I've seen who was convicted in the Bible, in the Gospels, but he walked away.
In the
rich-
gospel,
the
Judas.
In the Gospel,
The rich young
Rich
ruler.
ruler.
the rich young ruler.
Judas did too.
What does it say about him?
He walked
went
away.
away
Because it was
Sad.
rich.
sad.
Yeah.
Was he convicted?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Did it stop him from walking away?
Nope.
No.
No.
But what, Judas also walked
Yep.
away, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Wouldn't the example of that be the sower and the seed?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Mark 4. So God deliberately makes it difficult so that decision to follow him is fully tested. And the moment I die, there's no more need for testing it for all of eternity because he has tested it throughout this life. Now, if God made it differently than that, let's say every person that comes to Christ and professes Christ was instantly cured of cancer, and no Christian could ever get sick with cancer. How many people would become Christians?
It's
The
many
whole
who got
world.
cancer.
A lot of people. If every person, the moment you came to Christ, your financial worries, you suddenly got a better job at work, some uncle you didn't know decided to give you $100 million, you became rich enough that you never had to worry about money again. How many people would become a Christian?
Everybody is.
Everybody.
Do you see how? But how many of them would have been tested to see whether they were really being faithful or not? None of them.
You know what?
So even if God took every one of those people into heaven, what is he setting himself up for in the future? Another rebellion in heaven. Do you see how that works? Because you took people there that were not going there because they loved him, but because they wanted what he could give them.
That's just like when you're like a celebrity or something. You've got tons of money, you have all these friends because they're taking stuff from you, and then something goes wrong in your life, and now you're out on the streets. The next thing you know, you don't have any friends anymore because they're only with you because of what you could do for them.
When Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky, he was so poor that he had to sell his dog for $10 to eat. And he watched the fight between Muhammad Ali and this no-name white guy who hung in with Muhammad Ali and was never knocked out and made it to the end, and Muhammad Ali had to win in a decision. And he sat down and in something like 3 days or 5 days, some very short time, and I'm a writer, I know it's insane, he wrote the entire script for Rocky. And they offered him $25,000 for the script, and he said no. Then they offered him $125,000 for the script. He was so poor, he had to sell his dog. He said, not unless I can star in it. They said, no, we want a big star. We don't want you. You're a nobody. Your face is all fugly looking. You don't talk right. You've got a bad accent. No, you're not ever going to be a star. We won't let you star in the movie. He said, then you can't have the script. They finally gave in. They gave him half the price of the script. They said, okay, we'll buy the script and let you be the star, but we're going to pay you a whole lot less for the script and nothing for the acting. Yeah.
Wow.
If you want it that bad, fine. And he took the deal. And of course it made a gazillion dollars, and he ended up making a lot of money from it.
That's because he had the royalties to it?
Yeah. And he went back and bought his dog. The dog he'd sold for like $10, he had to buy back for like $10,000.
No,
Butkus.
Butkus, yeah, Butkus. So, you know what Sylvester Stallone said in an interview years later about that? From the moment I became a rich and powerful movie star, I've never had a single friend.
Wow.
Why?
Because everybody
You can't
wants
trust
something
them.
from them.
Well, no, it's more like Paul. Does everybody want something from him?
Hopefully.
Maybe, but
You won't.
you can never trust that they don't. Every person who treats me nicely, I always have to wonder, are they just doing it? Now, is every one of them necessarily doing it for that reason?
No.
No, but I can't tell the difference.
Is that why they all hang around with other celebrities?
Yep.
Because then there's no way that they really benefit from being.
Well, they still do, and they use each other, but at least that way you know it's a known quantity.
I would think he did have a friend, the dog.
Yeah.
Yes, a
Yeah.
dog.
After he bought him back.
Yeah.
By the way, I believe that fighter that he fought would have been George Chevalier, because
Yeah, I think you're right.
he was called the Weeble. They said Weebles wobble.
But they don't
They don't
fall.
fall down. He
Yeah.
would if they said if every fight went 40 rounds, he'd be the world champ.
Yeah.
That was his little boxing trivia there.
So that's the thing that God faces. If he makes it easy on believers, lots of people become believers. Why? I don't know. You don't know. You don't even know why you do it. Hey, am I doing it? Because how often do we have mixed motives for doing things? I'll give you a great quote. Does anybody know who Dietrich Bonhoeffer was?
Yeah.
Who was Dietrich Bonhoeffer?
He was in Germany during the Second World War, and he was trying to save the Jews. Wasn't he either a preacher or he was?
He was a very famous Lutheran preacher.
Yeah, and then
He
Hitler,
was trying to get rid of
killed him
Hitler.
at the end of the war. I think there was like a week left, and they made sure he died.
Yeah, they executed him right before he could be liberated.
And they knew that was coming, but Hitler wanted him dead.
Yeah. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said this, and it's one of those quotes that I hope I never forget. He said, "The last temptation, the greatest treason, to do the right deed for the wrong reason." Let me repeat that. The last temptation, the greatest treason, to do the right deed for the wrong reason. Does that make sense to you?
Say it one more time.
The last temptation,
Sounds worth writing down.
the greatest treason. The last temptation, the greatest treason. To do the right deed for the wrong reason.
Would that be doing something to get something out of it?
Exactly. And if God made it automatic that every believer instantly had a much easier life, what reason would we be faithful to God?
For that reason.
Maybe, but would even you know why you were doing it? The world says the greatest thing of love is, I want you, I need you. Right? I don't know the song well enough to really sing it.
That was a
That's
song.
Meatloaf.
Yeah. The 2 out of 3 ain't
Two out
bad.
of 3 ain't bad, yeah.
So, but what's that saying about love? That love is desire, is craving. Is that love?
I was dying for someone else.
I said this to a group of 10th graders today. I said, the hardest and most loving 2 hours of my life to this point
Your wife.
is when the doctors came in and said, Mr. Jenkins, we have to sit down and talk. Things have not gone the way we thought they would. We can keep Kathy alive for maybe another week if we start cutting off her legs and arms. If you're not willing to do that, then we need to talk about letting her go. She was at that point totally unresponsive.
Love is sacrificial.
She couldn't participate in that, but we talked about it, and she was a nurse, and she knew she'd been on Levaquid, and she used to say the nursing thing is when you're on Levaquid, you're dead. Levaquid, dead.
Was she diabetic?
No, Levaquid is a muscle contraction that raises your blood pressure by tightening your muscles so that it pumps the blood out of your extremities. And so I said, no, we're gonna let her go. I knew that's what she wanted. We talked about it many times.
What is that, what did that do? Like, what is that from?
She was a severe asthmatic, and
Oh.
and she had, it was very very complex what happened, but the bottom line is she got sepsis. And once you have sepsis, it's if they can't, there are 2 antibiotics that only one doctor in every hospital can administer. No other doctor anywhere in America other than one doctor per hospital can administer these 2 antibiotics. And they're deliberately keeping them in reserve. If I go to a doctor and say I've got an infection, they can't say I'm going to give. Those 2 antibiotics are kept in reserve for people who every other antibiotic has failed. Let's try these 2. And they don't want to build up bacteria that are resistant to them. Because if the bacteria become resistant to those 2, human race has nothing to fall back on. She was on both of those and it was doing nothing for her sepsis. So I said, all right, it's time. And I went in alone. The nurses came in and they started disconnecting the things, and I sat there and I watched as the heart monitor slowed and as her breathing monitor slowed and as she slipped away for 2 hours. Hardest 2 hours of my life. But they were the most loving hours of my life. Exactly because they were the hardest. Love is never measured by when you're enjoying things. Because when you're enjoying, oh, we're having such a great time on vacation, that isn't necessarily loving. Because how much of that is, I'm getting a lot out of it. The last temptation, the greatest treason, to do the right deed for the wrong reason. It is when the other person can give me nothing, do nothing for me, and is costing me everything. That's when I show love. For God so loved the world, he gave. What could humanity do for God at that point?
Nothing.
But he gave everything. While we were still
Sinners.
Christ died for us. Romans 5. That's why God makes it hard to be a believer. Because it's only in my giving that I show I love God the way he loved me.
Sacrifice.
Yep. Now let's go back to the kingdom age. How much of the people who lived through the kingdom age sacrificed for God? How much of the people who lived through the kingdom age sacrificed for God?
They didn't because they
pretty
don't have the
easy.
inclination to sin, so they didn't.
But what is the situation like throughout that kingdom age?
It's like Eden. Everything's perfect.
The lion lays down with the lamb. People don't sicken, don't age, at least age quickly enough that it shows.
Yeah, like 800 years old.
There's prosperity. Is there crime?
There can be crime, but very little, and it's dealt with immediately.
So there can be potential crime, but it's stopped before before it has a victim. There's nobody that dies a violent death other than if they're the ones that perpetrate a sin. Today in this world, just today, I had a teacher walking across the street. I do traffic control in the morning. Myself, 2 security guards, about 6 cops do traffic control at GCIT. I'm the only person. I have the central place, and I'm the only person that's not either paid security or a cop or a sheriff's deputy. Had a kid just looking down, driving through. I just watched his head looking down. I'm assuming he was looking at a text or something on a phone that he was holding down there. A teacher started to walk across the crosswalk, big sign. What's that sign say?
Stop.
State law, stop for people in the crosswalk.
Yeah.
Kid never stopped. Teacher had to step back or he would have been run over. Who was sitting there?
Him.
Kid.
The kid.
Driving.
Who would have paid the price?
The pedestrian.
The teacher. The kid would have eventually, but it doesn't do you a lot of good to say, hey, he got into a lot of trouble when you're laying under a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In our day, who often pays for sin? Here's a drunk driver. What happens with 80% of drunk drivers?
Their muscles are all relaxed, so they don't really suffer much.
They walk away, and the family that they hit
Dead.
is dead. So, in the kingdom age, will anybody die for someone else's sin?
No.
They'll die for their own sin.
Yeah. Anybody who tries to sin, the saints will be there, nip it in the bud. So, you've got this perfect condition. But what sacrifice have they made for Christ in that 1,000 years? None. So when Satan comes and offers them the choice, have they really made a choice up to that point?
No, it'll be Eve's choice or Adam's choice.
They've just drifted along with righteousness. Now they're offered a choice. Same choice Eve was in the garden.
But that would be all the new, like, anybody from the tribulation going in.
Will undoubtedly have
They-
made many choices,
They
yeah.
made the choice, so they're in, they're good, but it's their children, any
Yeah.
of the children, they're the ones who didn't make the choice.
Yeah.
So they'll be judged that way.
So, but can you see how, because people say, oh, if the world was just fair, there wouldn't be any sin. No, the world's been fair for 1,000 years. So it's not good enough that we get into heaven unless we have gotten there having chosen to follow Christ even when it was difficult. Because without that choosing, even being in heaven, sooner or later somebody's going to say, I think Satan was right. Let's try it again. And you have this repetition. And then someplace down the line, another person. So God makes it, if you want to go to hell, does God make it hard to go to hell?
Not very easy.
What does Jesus say about the road to hell?
Broad is the gate,
Wide
broad is the
road.
path.
Any way you want to go, you can go to hell. What does he say about the road to heaven?
Narrow is the road.
Narrow is the road, narrow is the gate. A different translation is hard is the road and narrow is the gate. He deliberately makes it that way. If you want to leave, you can leave. John 6. When all of this large crowd of people, John 6:60. John 6:60, this large crowd of people, they say, this is a hard saying, we can't hear this. And what does it say?
Walk away.
Many of his disciples turned back and followed him
No more.
no more. Then he turns to the 12, and what does he say to the 12?
You too.
Also.
Does he go, oh, please, please, you guys can't desert me too. Please, please, please don't do that.
Nope.
And they say,
Are you
well,
going to desert me
He
too?
gives them the choice.
He gives them the choice.
I just read that. I just read 6 before I came here tonight.
Yeah. And it's their choice to say,
where would we go?
where will we go? You're the only ones with the word of life.
Yep.
So, do you see how important that is to God's kingdom? And often we don't link that because we think once you get to heaven, it's automatic. No. If it was automatic, would there have ever been a Satan?
No.
If being in heaven is enough and you never think about anything, would there have ever been a Satan?
No.
Was Satan living in a slum someplace and going, oh, I have to steal because, I've been oppressed by society?
Actually, he was like the highest level angel in the echelon, wasn't he?
One of them.
Yeah. Did that stop him from sinning?
No.
Did that stop a third of the angels from joining with him? The other 2/3 in that hour made a choice. They said, no, we're going to stay faithful. And that choice is carried on. Because have there been any more falls after
No.
Satan?
No.
And the same with the saints. Because we have to choose here.
And stick to it.
And stick to it. And that's why, what is the condition Jesus puts on salvation? Matthew 24:13, and there's about 7 other times in the Gospels, including way back in Matthew 10, that he says the same thing. What's the
He who
condition,
endures to the
Jesus?
end will be saved.
He who
Who endures to the end will be saved.
will be saved. Momentary decision?
Continual.
You make that decision.
Continuing decision.
You make that
decision.
you make the decision in a moment, but it bears you out if you really made it.
Um,
Do you think that's maybe not explained, like maybe when people are taught the gospel, maybe that should be explained better?
I think that that's one of the great lies of the church.
You get your
What
fire
are the three lies that the church teaches today about faith?
Once saved, always saved.
About that they teach these three kinds of faith save you, and the Bible says they don't.
If you take Jesus into your heart.
Number one is sight faith. Oh, he saw a miracle, now he's a believer. What's the Bible say about that?
Faith comes by hearing the word.
Romans 10:17, faith comes by
Hearing.
Last verse in John 2, they saw the miracles and they believed in Jesus, but Jesus didn't believe in them. Sight faith doesn't save, but the church preaches sight faith all the time. We're going to have a miracle show, and when you see these miracles, you'll believe. No, you won't. What did Luke 16, what did the rich man say to Lazarus or to Abraham? Father Abraham, if send back Lazarus to my brothers. If he rises from the dead, they'll believe. What's Abraham say back?
They have Moses and the prophets.
They have the Bible. Let them read the Bible. Oh, no. If they saw someone come back from the dead, they'll believe. If they won't believe Moses and the prophets, if they don't believe the Bible, they won't believe even if someone comes back from the dead. Sight faith doesn't save. What's the second one? Temporary faith. Johnny prayed to receive Jesus when he was 9 years old at summer camp. And I know he's living in total sin today. He claims to be an atheist and hates God but he prayed that prayer and he said he believed in Jesus when he was 9 years old, and that's it. Temporary faith.
So many parents believe that.
Yep.
That's what I said. Once saved, always saved.
They weren't truly saved.
But Jesus said, he who
Endures
to the end will be saved.
To the end.
What's the third one?
The second one would be like if you got married and you saw your husband or spouse and then you didn't see him for like 6 months to 7 years or something like that. And then you're like, oh, but we're married. You know, that's kind of the same thing where you made that decision, but you don't spend time with that person at all.
What's the third one? Sight faith, temporary faith,
Blind.
earthly faith.
Earthly faith.
Oh, I believed in God because I prayed for to be healed and I was healed. Temporal faith. I prayed to God for money and I got a check in the mail I hadn't expected. So I believe in God. I'm perfectly fine. No, it's not enough to believe it that God will bless you in this life. You have to have the kind of faith that believes him for eternal life. That's a different thing than just, I believe God will get me out of a jam here and now. So those three kinds of faith, temporary faith, temporal faith, or earthly faith, and sight faith, do not save. Does the church teach that to very many people today? No, they just say as long as you have faith. And what do they mean by that? Any of those faiths. Any faith you want to have, they're all the same.
You really think a lot of them do the third? I mean, I thought a lot of them would do like the second or the first.
There are a lot of, maybe it's not as popular now. It used to be that people, would share a testimony. Well, I believe God got me out of this jam. Oh, then you're a Christian. Oh, I was driving home drunk one night and I hit a tree and I thought I was dead, but God got me through it. So I believe in God now. So now every time I drive home drunk, I don't hit that tree. Again, I've known people that literally had that kind of attitude. And I'm saved because I have that belief.
Is that an earthly faith?
That's that earthly faith.
It's kind of like God's in a genie in a bottle.
Yep. God bless. Have a great night.
Thank you. I do have one question for you.
Sure.
The very,
Thank you. Have a good night.
Night, everyone.
very beginning of it, you were saying that